The memories of the day she disappeared are forever etched into the minds of her community, despite the 2 decades that have passed. It was the night of Super Bowl 30. Gladys would have turned 42 in the year 2020. Instead, her family waited 24 years for the news of her killer.
She had a beautiful soul. She was beautiful, intelligent, gorgeous, and had a radiant smile. She had such big dreams for her life. Gladys was only 17 when she was murdered.
A daughter to immigrants. Gladys was born and raised in the Hispanic neighborhood of Boyle Heights in East Los Angeles. Gladys Arellano, 17, left her home on January 28, 1996. Her family never saw her alive again. According to family members, Gladys had a normal day that Sunday. She was occupied with her school activities and a temporary job. They remember seeing the girl leave the house that day to visit a friend. Soon her family was all gathered at the house to watch the American football championship between the Dallas Cowboys versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Sometime before the game had finished or thereafter, they realized that Gladys never reached her destination. No one in Boyle Heights knew her whereabouts. The following day, the family filed a missing persons report with LASD, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. At first, the case was treated as a disappearance or a possible runaway, even though family members thought otherwise. All of that changed on January 30th, when news of her body being found reached the community. A passerby notified authorities that he had seen the body of a woman lying at the bottom of a ravine. The body of Gladys Arellano was found at the Topanga Canyon. This is a mountainous, rural area just off the road in Malibu, California. This was 25 miles from Boyle Heights. The officers of the LASD Homicide Division stated that the girl's body was discovered partially naked. She had been raped, met with extreme violence, and then strangled before her body was tossed into the ravine. An autopsy found bodily fluid, deputies said. A DNA profile was uploaded into state and federal DNA databases. Without a match, deputies could not identify a suspect. For years, the case perplexed authorities. LASD Homicide Division agents' extensive investigation saw a vast amount of people interviewed. More than a dozen suspects were questioned, but they could not find the lead to help them solve the mysterious and brutal crime. The death of Gladys Arellano would go unsolved for decades until November 10, 2019, when Jose Garcia was arrested by the Los Angeles Police Department. He was in custody for suspicion of domestic assault. During the booking process, a DNA swab was taken from him and processed. Then it was uploaded into the California DNA database. Gladys Arellano's case was being worked on by retired detectives Joe Purcell and Sean McCarthy, who offered their part-time service to the Sheriff's Department's Unsolved Case Unit. The whole unit is comprised of a dozen retired homicide investigators who return to work on a part-time basis. After a month in the system, the detectives were alerted that they finally had a match. The DNA sample of Jose Luis Garcia was found a match for the sample taken from Arellano's body. Detectives visited Garcia at his residence in Fontana, where they questioned him about his knowledge and his whereabouts at the time of Arellano's murder. Investigators were able to obtain a second DNA swab. While the DNA sample was being tested, deputies said Garcia changed residence. He moved to Dallas. The confirmation sample was also a match to the DNA evidence in the murder investigation. Luis Garcia was ultimately arrested on September 29, 2020, in Dallas. He was 43 at the time. Deputies said Garcia would have been a teenager, age 19 in 1996. The U.S. Marshals Service Task Force in Dallas took him into custody. He was extradited to Los Angeles County nearly a month later, according to deputies. Authorities established that Garcia and Gladys lived near each other at the time of her death, but they said any connection between them is unclear. Following the arrest, Gladys's older sister, Elizabeth Arellano, said during a news conference that it's been a struggle to live for decades, not knowing who took her life.
It was extremely painful for all of us to lose her and live through 24 and a half years of not knowing who killed her.
Because for over 25 years, I lived with the guilt of not knowing or what I could have done, if I could have done anything different.
Garcia was held on a $1 million bail. Investigators sought information against Garcia for any other possible crime. Besides California and Texas, he also has ties to Colorado. Following the arrest, Jose Luis Garcia pleaded not guilty to the murder charge. However, he later pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter in connection with the death of Gladys Arellano. He also pleaded to 1 count each of kidnapping and domestic assault involving the teen. On August 15, 2023, Garcia, age 46, was sentenced to 18 years and 8 months in prison in connection with the death of Arellano. Garcia waived his credit for just over 1,000 days he has already spent behind bars since his October 2020 arrest, according to the district attorney's office. Arellano's sister was not too happy with the sentencing, though the family was grateful that the case had been solved.
It's never enough for having taken a life of such a beautiful soul.
The slain girl's niece and goddaughter, Samantha Moreno, was thankful to investigators vested in solving her case.
Thank you to all the law enforcement agencies that collaborated on Gladys' case and made the arrest of Jose Luis Garcia possible. Thank you for not giving up on our Gladys.